On a crisp October morning in Seattle, the Anderson family's driveway looked unusually empty. The moving truck had already disappeared down the street, taking with it nearly everything they owned. The only thing left was a small silver SUV packed with suitcases, family photo albums, and a sleepy golden retriever named Max. Neighbors stood on their porches, waving goodbye. "Are you sure you're doing the right thing?" Mrs. Jenkins called out. Sarah Anderson smiled politely. "We've never been more sure." No one understood why a successful American family would voluntarily leave everything behind, not even their closest friends. Just 2 years earlier, the Andersons seemed to have everything. David, 42, worked as a software engineer earning a 6-figure salary. Sarah owned a thriving online interior design business. Their children, Emma, 15, and Noah, 10, attended one of the city's best schools. They lived in a beautiful suburban home surrounded by pine trees. From the outside, they looked like the perfect American family. But appearances can be deceiving. Behind closed doors, life had become a constant race. David often worked 12-hour days. Sarah answered emails late into the night. Emma struggled with anxiety over grades and college admissions. Noah barely knew what it meant to have dinner with both parents at the same table. Every month brought bigger bills, a larger mortgage, higher insurance costs, rising grocery prices, and less time together. One evening, during yet another rushed dinner, Noah quietly asked a question that changed everything. "When was the last time we were actually happy?" Silence filled the room. Nobody had an answer. A few weeks later, David's company announced another restructuring. Although he kept his job, several close friends lost theirs overnight. Watching them pack their desks shook him deeply. For years, he had believed hard work guaranteed stability. Now he realized nothing was guaranteed. That weekend, instead of spending hours cleaning the house, the family drove into the Cascade Mountains. With no cell service and no internet, they spent an entire day hiking. They laughed, played cards, cooked over a campfire. For the first time in years, nobody checked their phone. On the drive home, Sarah looked out the window. What if life could feel like this every day? David didn't answer immediately. Then he quietly said, "Maybe it can." The idea started as a dream. Then it became a plan. They researched countries around the world: Portugal, New Zealand, Costa Rica, Spain, Canada. Each offered something they felt they were missing: community, safety, affordable health care, a slower pace of life, more time together. For nearly a year, they planned in secret. They sold unnecessary possessions, paid off debts, saved every extra dollar. The children even joined the effort, selling old toys and books. Friends assumed they were simply downsizing. Only the Anderson family knew the truth. They weren't preparing for a move. They were preparing for a new life. Breaking the news to their relatives proved far more difficult. At Thanksgiving dinner, David finally stood up. "We're moving overseas." The room erupted. "What? For how long? A year?" Sarah gently shook her head. "Forever." Her mother began crying. David's father thought it was a joke. His brother accused him of throwing away an incredible career. Even Emma's best friend refused to believe it. Nobody leaves America forever. But the Andersons had already made their decision. The months that followed were filled with paperwork: passports, residency applications, medical records, school transfers, countless forms. Every signature made the decision feel more real. The hardest day came when they sold their family home. Every room held memories: birthday parties, Christmas mornings, school science projects, late-night conversations. Sarah walked through the empty house one final time. Instead of sadness, she felt gratitude. "This house gave us wonderful years," she whispered. "But it's time for a new chapter." Their destination was a quiet coastal town in Portugal. It wasn't famous. There were no towering skyscrapers, no endless traffic, no frantic rush. Instead, There were cobblestone streets lined with colorful houses. Fresh bread baked every morning. Children played soccer until sunset. Neighbors greeted each other by name. At first, adjusting wasn't easy. The language felt unfamiliar. Simple grocery shopping became an adventure. David struggled with remote work across different time zones. Emma missed her friends. Noah missed American football. Even Max seemed confused by the ocean. There were moments when everyone questioned the decision. But slowly, things began to change. David stopped checking emails every 5 minutes. Sarah started painting again, a hobby she had abandoned years earlier. Emma joined a local photography club and discovered a passion for storytelling. Noah learned to surf. Family dinners became sacred. Nobody rushed. Nobody stared at phones. Conversations lasted for hours. Weekends were spent exploring castles, beaches, and mountain villages. For the first time in years, life felt full instead of busy. One afternoon, nearly a year after arriving, David received a message from an old coworker. "Do you ever regret leaving?" David looked around. Sarah was reading beneath an olive tree. Emma was taking photographs of the sunset. Noah and Max were chasing waves along the beach. The ocean shimmered under the golden evening sky. He smiled before typing his reply. Not for a single day. Years passed. The children grew older. Emma eventually became a documentary filmmaker, capturing stories of families building new lives around the world. Noah became a marine biologist, inspired by countless afternoons exploring the Atlantic coast. Sarah opened a small art studio overlooking the sea. David continued working remotely, but no longer measured success by promotions or salary. Instead, he measured it by moments. Family breakfasts, long walks, shared laughter, quiet evenings watching sunsets. One summer, the Anderson family returned to America for the first time since leaving. They visited old friends, walked through familiar neighborhoods, even drove past their former house. Everything looked the same. Yet they felt completely different. Mrs. Jenkins, the neighbor who had once questioned their decision, recognized them immediately. "I always wondered," she admitted. "Were you happy after you left?" Sarah looked at David before answering. "We didn't leave because America was a bad place. We left because we wanted a different life." Mrs. Jenkins nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes happiness isn't about running away. Sometimes it's about running toward what matters most." As the family boarded their flight back to Portugal, Emma glanced through the airplane window. America would always be part of their story. It was where they were born, where they learned, where they dreamed. But home had become something much deeper than a place on a map. Home was wherever they were together. The Andersons had left America forever, but they hadn't abandoned their past. They had simply chosen a future built on time, connection, and purpose, instead of endless ambition. And as the airplane climbed into the evening sky, they knew they had made the right choice. Because sometimes the bravest journey isn't crossing an ocean. It's having the courage to redefine what success and home